Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of Pittsburgh Pirates franchise. And we have a problem in the black and gold. We actually have many problems. The first of which, we're 16 and 29. We're not a great baseball team. But inside of that, we have even more problems, which we're going to talk about before we hop into a game. But, of course, if you guys are new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and maybe like the video. That would be awesome. We are going to talk about some of the problems before we hop into gameplay. So the first problem is not very many of our guys can hit. We have like Adam Frazier's hitting 239. Brian Reynolds is hitting 213. He needs to be better. O'Neal Cruz is hitting 238. Joey Bart is hitting 214. Nick Gonzalez is actually playing really well. He's hitting 266. Sawinski has been a bright spot since Andrew McCutchen at the end of last episode broke his arm, so he's out for another month or so. Brian Hayes has been a really big bright spot for us. Tommy Pham is here as well. And Andy Rodriguez has actually taken over duties at first base because Emmanuel Valdez is not very good. Now, Andy Rodriguez is hitting 170. Valdez is hitting 164. And neither of those are great options, but they're here. I guess. Kiner Falefa is also here. Triolo, it says he's not in the starting lineup. He starts like 4 or 5 times a week, just in different positions. He's kind of a utility guy for us. And he's been really good. Hasn't really hit for power much, but a 351 average, you certainly can't complain. But overall, the bats leave a lot to be desired. Specifically, first base is going to be something I think we try to address today. And potentially catcher, and maybe that is done with one move. So we don't hit super well, but we also, outside of Paul Skeens, who is electric, don't pitch very well. Mitch Keller has a 7.3 ERA. Andrew Heaney's a 5.5. Mladzinski is a 4.6, which we'll take out of him if we're honest, though it hasn't been incredible with a 1.66 whip. And then Bailey Falter has actually been pretty good. He did just pitch really well. He does have elbow inflammation, so we may skip his next start and let Joey Wentz, who has been the long reliever of the year in baseball. It just has to be. He's got 8 games, 31 innings pitched, and he's going to stay in that role, except for a spot start or 2. Other parts of the bullpen have been spotty. Some have been good, some have been bad. Lawrence has been not incredible. Chase Sugart, though, has been really good. He's got a 2.92 ERA. Miza has got a 2.11. Bednar's got a 1.8. Ferguson has a 2.7. And then Colin Holderman and Dennis Santana have both just objectively been pretty bad. At the major league level is not looking great. So how are we fixing the first base problem? Well, we do have a couple of options. So we do have Spencer Horwitz in the minors, who is hitting pretty well. He's hitting 283 in AAA. He is our highest rated first baseman at this point. He would, I just have to imagine, be a step up for Emmanuel Valdez. We could send down to AAA or even a AA, because I think Derek Hall is worthy of a call up to AAA potentially as well at some point. And the other way would be a guy like a Ben Rice, who is young. He's controllable for a while. He plays first base. There is some amount of upside. He also can catch a little bit. He does have 0 blocking, which unfortunately is not that unrealistic to real life. He's a guy that I am considering if we go out of the organization for a first base fix, but I do want to give Spencer Horwitz a chance. So it may not be Ben Rice necessarily, but that's kind of the archetype I'm looking for. I don't need a 34-year-old first baseman who's really good right now. I need somebody who's going to be pretty good in 2 or 3 years, potentially. I will say, we called up Tamar Johnson to AAA, and he is finding his footing, I guess. He's hitting 180. Our AAA team is actually 25 and 18, which is a good sign. The pitching has done really well down there. And then our AA team is actually 27 and 9. So things are looking up in the future of Pittsburgh, but current times are not great. So we are actually taking on the somehow terrible Philadelphia Phillies. They are 14 and 30. And here's some of the things that we could talk about around the league today, I guess. I mean, Paul Skeens has been dominant as of late. Emmanuel Valdez has been terrible. Bailey Falter had a big game on the mound last night. We actually won 7-1 last night. And we're going to talk about Bailey Falter, who had a massive game last night. It's pretty rare for him, just being honest. He's been okay this year, but you can see 7 2/3, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 earned, 1 K. Not great with 3 walks. But he was pitching to soft contact, evidently, and he was doing super well. And the pitching for this team is a strong suit, both in the big leagues and also in the minor leagues. And today, we get to use Paul Skeens, but we're facing Taijuan Walker, who just has not been very good for them. He's got a 5.6 ERA, a 1.64 whip, which is not incredible. Strikeout rate is not as high as he would like it, I'm sure. I mean, you guys can see they're 12th in the NL wildcard. They're 14-30 somehow. They're rated overall as like the first best team, second best team. They're like a top 2 or 3 team in the game. I believe in this simulation. Overall wise, they just have not simulated super well for whatever reason, and obviously we're not controlling them, so I haven't looked into it in any way. But it is just odd to see sometimes you get those weird simulations that happen. And this just happens to be one that the Phillies just aren't performing. That was not great. Here's our lineup. It's O'Neill, Cruz, Reynolds, Jared Triolo, who we talked about, hitting .351, Emmanuel Valdez, Nick Gonzalez, Sawinski, Cabrian Hayes, Tommy Pham, and then Endy Rodriguez. Obviously, not a ton of bright spots there. So, like, for video reasons, for the series, we're not going to spend a whole lot more time in the first season. Maybe another couple of episodes, 3 tops. This episode, actually, the game plan is to get to probably the draft and do the draft to start the next episode, just so that we're all on the same page. Because the goal, obviously, is not this year, and the team is not very good this year, so why would we suffer through that on YouTube? I know it's like, oh, it's character building. I think that's overrated. We'll take a look. It'll be well documented how the year goes. But I just don't think we need to spend, call it even like 5 episodes more on the first season. It just doesn't really need to happen. But here is Paul Skeens. He has been one of the bright spots for us early in the year. He's got like a 2.1 ERA. We're actually ahead of Philly in the wild card, which is kind of crazy to think about, as Alec Boehm was super prepared for that pitch. And so we'll throw him something not as fast here, hopefully, for him to swing over. As that ball is tattooed into left field, and it is down and a leadoff double for Alec Boehm. Here's Bryce Harper. They do feel ready to hit the fastball. I will give them that. They've been way out in front of 100 somehow. So respect, I guess. We're 0-2 here to Schwarber, who does strike out a bit, and he somehow pops up a pitch that probably would have hit him in the knee. But we'll take that. Here's Valdez on his last hurrah. At least for now. Horowitz may be up before even the game ends, depending on how this goes. I don't know why. I was like, I know, I'll stop here in Philly. It's a good rivalry game. We're like a month and a half-ish into the year at this point. It'll be a good spot to stop and see how everybody's doing. And then it just wasn't happening. As Emmanuel Valdez gets hit. I mean, any way you can get on base if your Valdez is welcome. Nick Gonzalez being tied for first place, by the way, in home runs on the team, is demoralizing. Like, it's fine, but it's demoralizing. So after the McCutchen injury, Sawinski actually stepped into that DH role and has played really well, honestly. So McCutcheon comes back in like 4 weeks. He'll be back by the end of the video, I think, but Sawinski is swinging it well. So we have an interesting decision to make on the outfield on what do we want to do with Jack Sawinski. What do we want to do maybe with Tommy Pham? Is Tommy Pham a trade piece this early, pre-trade deadline, or do we sit and wait to the deadline to make a move? So the Marlins have two guys. They have the top 2 ERA guys somehow. Ke'Bryan Hayes into the gap. And that is going to be an RBI single, as it's 1-0 us. Ke'Bryan Hayes' big season continues. Just kind of poked that into the gap. I guess I don't mind keeping Tommy Pham around for a little bit longer because fantasy football season hasn't started yet in the game. As we're going to test the arm of Castellanos. I know it's not great, and we do go up 2-0 here early, and that's just knowing the outfielders. And we're out of the dugout again. I guess this is just a thing for us. So we're going to chop that into the ground. We score 2, though. That's important. The Phillies seem pretty ready to hit fastballs at any time. So we're going to try not to throw fastballs just all the time. That's the way I think this is about to play out. Gonzalez over at short. And that's going to be a shift beater. Max Kepler is going to have the Phillies' second double of the game as Reynolds has trouble with it. They're going to try for 3, and it's a bad throw and a diving play by the catcher, Rodriguez, I believe is who that is. And it's actually a triple for Max Kepler. And that's tough. But we do have a little bit of a lead to play with. I am not super excited about letting up a run here, potentially. Hasn't happened yet, but there's potential. Try to get the sweeper here to strike out the youngster, and we're going to try to cut the run at home. And we do. Ke'Bryan Hayes, what a play. Not the best throw, and that's on me, but it was good enough to cut down the run. It wasn't amazing, but these are the kinds of plays you have to try to make when you're a bad team. You have to try to prevent runs because you just know 2 might be all we get. I know we put up a ton of runs against the Yankees. That doesn't happen every game, as that's a line drive that O'Neal Cruz will make to keep it at 2-0. So it feels like the starting pitching stats for the Phillies has been the downfall. They are not great at innings pitched. They're pretty bad at ERA. Their whip is terrible. Their hits per 9 is abysmal. They don't really strike people out at an elite level, but they don't walk people. So I guess they're just getting shelled all the time, as that's a fly ball. That is kind of what happened yesterday. I know I've been dogging on the hitting, but I believe we won 7-1 yesterday in simulation. And we're up 2-0 here early, so that has kind of continued. Brian Reynolds just needs to be better for us, probably. 212 just isn't cutting it. So that's a drive into left center. That might be extra bases. And it might be a homer. It's 3-0 here in Pittsburgh. Taijuan Walker getting shelled, and I guess the graphic is true because the not great hitting us has hit them really well in the first 12 innings of this series, as Reynolds just stayed on a fastball down and away, and he got it to go. 397 feet, not quite 100 miles an hour off the bat, but certainly good enough. That ball's lined into left center. O'Neal Cruz dives and can't make the play. Is this going to be the third double of the game for the Phillies? And it is. He made it close, but he was still able to get in there at second base. Maybe a perfect throw, we get him. The Phillies have hit pretty well, honestly. They just don't have a lot to show for it at this point. We cut the run down at the plate just a second ago. We've been able to strand runners when they've gotten them on, but a lot of high-stress pitches for Skeens early, which I don't super love. And they're doing a good job of keeping the pitch count elevated. We haven't really had a quick inning. It's felt like, is that strike 3 to Bone. Try a pick off at second, get the tag down, Nicholas. One time for the hose, dog. It's a ground ball, it's Cabrian Hayes. Get 2 outs. The always scary Bryce Harper is now hitting. It's never somebody you're super thrilled to see in the box. That's a ground ball to Hayes again. We're going to get out of another inning with a double and not allow a run somehow. Paul Skeens is dealing on the hill-ish. I mean, I'm glad Tyler Mahle is also dominating in this game as well. 14 Ks and no runs against the Astros. Pretty impressive. Those of you guys maybe that are new to the channel know that I'm actually a Rangers fan. So it's been a rough year for us, but Mahle has been good in real life, and he's been good in the game. So there you go. Let me live a little. We're doing a Pirates franchise. There's not a lot of success happening at this stage. Let me tell you, if that 92-mile-an-hour fastball was 106, we would have been all over it as that ball's hammered into left field. If he throws that pitch again, it's a homer. I'll promise you that. He did, and he threw us a sweeper. And it's a fly out. Smart man there, Taiwan. That's a ground ball up the middle. A diving play. And they get the out at first. Maybe one of the few things that's gone right for the Phillies early. It's Christian Arroyo holding down shortstop today in lieu of Trey Turner. Makes the play. I am now wondering, too, for this Phillies team, if there's been, as that's fair, that's going to be another, leadoff extra base hit. That's tough. That was right down the line. But what I was going to say is I do wonder if there's been some injury problems that have come up. Because Real Muto's also not in the lineup. It could be a combination of the starting pitcher problems and some lineup injuries. And there's not a lot you can do once your team gets the injury bug, as we do strike out Nick Castellanos for the first out of the inning. Max Kepler, who has a double today, will ground it sharply to Triolo, who makes the play and throws it over. And can we get out of another inning with a leadoff double? The answer is yes. We get the strikeout to end the inning, and we're still holding him scoreless through 4. We're getting out hit, but we're up 3-0. And we have a new pitcher. And his name is Tanner Banks. He's a lefty. He's got a 4.5 ERA. But Taijuan Walker's day is done early. I know almost nothing about Tanner Banks in real life, so we'll see how we go. They do have Jordan Romano warming up in their bullpen currently. That's who that face scan is. I know my face was covering his name, but you'll just have to believe me on that front, at least for a minute. I would love to know the Phillies' bullpen stats this year, because the starting pitching hasn't been great, which would imply to me that the bullpen is getting used probably quite often, and I just would like to know if that has been a good thing or a bad thing for them. So we strike out looking with Andy Rodriguez, which brings up the top of the lineup. So far, it's been a good thing. The bullpen. So Neil Cruz is maybe turning that into at least a neutral thing, as he is going to have himself a 2-out double lefty-lefty. It's his 9th of the year, and it would be great if he could get going a little bit. As that's a line drive into center, a diving play by Brandon Marsh to end the inning. Keeping it competitive. as Walmart Jesse Winker lays out to make the play. Yeah, the Phillies' last 10 games have been pretty abysmal. They're 1-9. They beat the Guardians accidentally one day, and then that was it. So it maybe wasn't this bad 2 weeks ago, but now things have spiraled for them, evidently. Skeens is dealing on the hill currently. This is 4th strikeout. We are in the 5th. I guess that's not as many as you would hope or potentially expect, but we are doing this on Hall of Fame. I make no illusions that I'm a great player at this video game. I do enjoy playing it, and I feel comfortable saying I'm okay, but we are on Hall of Fame, so the strikeout numbers aren't going to be crazy, I guess, as we get another one on Edmundo Sosa. We've only thrown 5 balls, and part of that is they're swinging at a lot of stuff like that. Thought you could see it if I paused, but I guess you can't. I feel like they've been swinging pretty freely when we've thrown like competitive pitches, even breaking pitches like that. They're just expanding the zone a lot. And it's helped our strike count. It's helped us be pretty, like, fairly efficient. Not crazy efficient, but like a little bit. And we do get the ghost of Jordan Romano. He's been good this year. I don't know why he's in the game at this point. I don't know how their bullpen lays out in a franchise mode. I would have thought that he would be a later guy, especially with a 1 dot whatever ERA. But he's here now, I guess, to keep it close. So he's kind of weird to pick up, huh? Romano really does have the like wannabe Kenley Jansen half like twerk it thing happening. It's not quite as hip thrusty and like erotic. Is that the word? But he's definitely got some twisting out there, and I would borderline say unnecessary twisting. I don't know that he needs to be twisting like that. It's a family show. It's a family show, Jordan. Lock it in. I'm gonna have to censor it or something. So all the ladies are gonna get hot and heavy for it. I don't know what I'm talking about at this point. Full count now. Valdez got hit earlier. Can he get a hit this time on a full count? And a strikeout, but I guess you'll take a 9-pitch strikeout versus like a 3-pitch strikeout. That's me trying to be optimistic about the situation. You can like it or not like it. Nick Gonzalez is going to pop out to end the inning. Skeens really is is the best pitcher in the game, I think. Well, in baseball, I guess there's a conversation of like, is Skubal better? And I do think that there is a good case for that at this moment in time. But I think as far as like usability in MLB The Show, Skeens is up there. You can see Harper has reverse splits, actually. He's been terrible against righties. He's hitting .379 against lefties. So let me file that in the bank, as of course, as I'm talking about that, he gets a hit against a righty, which I think breaks up. We just had 4 strikeouts in a row with Skeens. As that's a line drive base hit, we're going to start to get the bullpen active, I think. Castellanos rips one down the line, and suddenly the game is turning. Reynolds with a good throw to third has him, and he gets the guy at third base to get to the second out, but the Phillies do get a run. I believe that was Kyle Schwarber we got at third base, but Harper is able to score. A good throw from Reynolds, though. We'll take that. Had to be a perfect throw, and it was. Which brings up Max Kepler. I would love to get Skeens through this inning, but I think the next base runner on, we just have to pull him. Kepler has been significantly better versus righties than lefties. Also, we'll file that away in the bank for if we have to face him later. And it's 3-2, 2 outs here. Rafael Marchand is on deck. Try a sinker away here to get a ground ball, maybe. And we blow it by him to strike him out to end the 6th. That's probably going to be how Skeen's day ends. 6 innings pitched, 7 hits is quite a lot, but we did make some plays behind him to keep it to just 1 run. And it brings in Orion Kerkering, who in my mind is an Oriole, or was an Oriole at some point. I don't know that he still is now, obviously, because in this world, he's a Philly, which also feels right to me, but I have him as an Oriole in my mind. I guess I'll look that up later. As we'll get a good start here as Jack Sawinski walks, which brings up Brian Hayes. Kerkering has thrown 5 pitches and is yet to throw a strike, so the light has never been more red. Probably should have let it rip on that one. It's 2-2 here to Hayes. And we take a pretty bad swing at a pretty good sweeper. Oh, we gotta hit that one. All right, our guy for the 7th inning is going to be Chase Sugar. He is a former Texas Longhorn. He's had a pretty good year in Sim. 24 innings pitched in 15 games. He has a hold. Not really a closer for us, obviously, but somebody I'm hoping is good for us long term. An arm that I would like to keep around, but obviously, like relievers, everybody needs them. So if we can get a decent return on a guy like Sugar, we'll trade him. I don't really have a problem with that. But he's been good for us at this point. And we need him to be good here to get through the bottom of the Phillies order without incident, as that is caught by Brian Hayes, as there almost was incident. But then Brian made a nice play, and then there wasn't incident. And that is the way that incidents happen. You know, my friend Jake talks about in statistics, everything's 50-50. There's a 50% chance it will happen and a 50% chance it won't happen. As Tommy Pham can't quite get there. So we get a strikeout with Sugar. Can we make it a nice, quick, and easy 1-2-3 inning? And Sugar makes the play. Self-preservation. But he does hang on. We go to the 8th. Here's Matt Strahm. That makes sense. Lefty out of the pen. Trying to keep it close here. A pretty competitive game still. Haven't had a lot of success lately, obviously, if you're the Phillies. And I just was not emotionally prepared for that to be anything other than a slider. I know it's like, hey, Josh, why are you sitting the slider? Da-da-da-da. But, like, I was looking slider, like, right there, right where that PCI is. And it didn't happen. And that's okay. So that's a ground ball. That, unfortunately, is going to end our 8th inning. So the Phillies' next schedule, they get the Pirates, and then hopefully, I mean, they get us tomorrow. This is a Saturday game. Hopefully they get some wins against the Rockies, turn the season around, because things have not been going super great for them. We're actually going to leave Sugar in here. He only threw 11 pitches. We're going to try to get him through at least one more hitter, as maybe that's a bad decision. As Alec Bohm laces one really hard but foul. Try to get a strikeout here of Bohm. And we do. Chase Sugar has good stamina, actually, for a reliever. And I'm really tempted to leave him in through Harper, because I know Harper hasn't hit righties well. And we'll just see how we go. We do have a lefty warming up in Caleb Ferguson. But I do think Sugar has had a good season, and we're going to see what he can do here against two-time MVP Bryce Harper, who's always dangerous, of course, but this could be a big time to prove yourself in a division, not a division rival game, but a rivalry game, the Poop Series, as many affectionately refer it this series as. Boy, didn't that just roll off the tongue. Try to change up low and away here. And we do get him to swing over the top of it. And Chase Sugar throws 2 scoreless in relief to set up whoever we're going to bring in to close. I haven't decided yet, but good for him. Here's Carlos Hernandez, who has nearly a 6 ERA in 13 innings pitched. Feels like an odd guy to bring in this spot, but that is who they've decided to. Emmanuel Valdez rips one into right field, and miracles do happen. We're going to try for 2 against Castellanos. Again, we just know the arm is not great, and it's a leadoff double for a guy that needed it in Emmanuel Valdez. We really just stayed on that and lined it into right field. Not a whole lot more to it than that. The insurance run here would actually be kind of banger for the pen. Jose Alvarado is beginning to warm up, and that face just doesn't really look like Jose Alvarado to me. I guess in real life, Alvarado is suspended right now due to PED usage. Again, if you guys missed the first episode, this isn't the base roster. I found one that the prospects maybe are a touch better, just because I want to see guys potentially develop into being superstar players, and I didn't feel like the base roster really gave us the opportunity for that to happen a whole lot. Sawinski rolls over on one, and he is going to lose the foot race to the bag. Brian Hayes is our last hope to get that run in. Give us some insurance. And he hits it hard, but right at Harper. So the insurance run is not going to score. And we are actually going to bring in Caleb Ferguson for the 9th inning rather than the 8th inning. He has been pretty good this year, 2.79 ERA. He's been much better against lefties than righties, and that's important because Philly has 2 lefties coming up this inning in Kyle Schwarber and Max Kepler. Now, if things start to get out of hand, we can always bring in Dennis Santana or David Bednar to close it out. But I do think situationally, this makes a lot of sense for us. He's been really good for us this year. Again, another opportunity for a reliever to prove himself. So that's a ground ball base hit. And suddenly the tying run is to the plate. Double play ball would be massive and would also end the game. So that one is laced foul. Try to get him to roll over on a cutter, maybe? That's a ground ball base hit. And the theory may not be working for Caleb Ferguson. We're going to give him one more hitter here. See what we can do. As it's not gone the picture-perfect way that I was hoping. But we're still just one swing away from ending the game. At this point, in either way, a homer or a double play. So that's a fly ball to Pham, who gets a terrible read on the ball, but makes up ground to get to the second out of the inning. And here's Trey Turner. So he is just a good hitter. He's one hell of a hitter to be able to bring off the bench here. And I do actually think I just feel more comfortable with Caleb Ferguson than I do Dennis Santana right now. He just hasn't pitched well this year as we get a call. So that's hit sharply. And Caleb Ferguson, it's shaky, but he survives and gets the save, which is huge. And we've taken 2 out of 3 from the mighty Philadelphia Phillies, the cross-state rival. So we're not in Philly. Are we in Pennsylvania? Is Pennsylvania in us? Is anybody Pennsylvania? So we do take that game. We're going to do some simming here to end the episode. Again, the goal is to get to the draft, potentially. So I'll keep you all updated as we go. We'll probably do a couple of stops along the way, just so that you guys can get some updates on how the team is doing and other moves that potentially are being made. But we'll see y'all in just a second. Okay, all that great thing we were talking about with Jack Sawinski coming in clutch. He has an MCL strain, so he's going to be out for a minute. We actually are going to sit him on the injured list, and we're going to go adjust the lineups, and I'll let y'all know what that looks like. All right, we are going to move Spencer Horwitz up to the big leagues, and we're going to send Emmanuel Valdez down. He's just not been good this year in any way, and we're going to see if he can stick in AAA. Derek Hall, I think, is ready to get called up. I just don't want to send Valdez down, and I still want Derek Hall to be playing every day. So that's just kind of where he's at currently. But we're going to give Spencer Horwitz a shot over at first base. The step for the lineup here at the big league level currently is Triolo is just going to DH for a second. But Spencer Horwitz is going to be the everyday first baseman, and we're going to see how that goes, at least for a moment. Catching is another concern for us, obviously. Neither catcher, Joey Bart's hitting 195 now. Andy Rodriguez is hitting 183. Neither option is great. We need to address it probably. And that could still fall in the Ben Rice category. But we'll see. And then Valdez is going to play first base in AAA. And we'll see if that can maybe snap him out of it. See if he can become a big league bat again. He's young. He's 26. We'll see. All right. Andrew McCutchen is back officially. And we have some notifications here. Barucki has looked good, but he also just pulled a muscle in his back, not a back in his muscle. So that's tough. Malcolm Nunez maybe is somebody to keep an eye on. Jason DeLay just continues to rake. So is he the option at catcher for a minute? Maybe. Sean Sullivan has been really good. So is Thomas Harrington. Well, the minor leaguers seem to be kind of killing it. As Paul Skeens' ERA balloons to 3. Early returns on Spencer Horwitz. He's hitting 333 and 30 at-bats. So we'll take that. So with McCutchen back, I mean, he's still out for 1 to 6 more days, so he's not completely back yet. I do think there is value to having him in the lineup. So with McCutchen back, I do think there is value in having him in the lineup once he's healthy again. He's still got another week, but I thought we'd activate him. It doesn't really hurt anything because we didn't call anybody up for that. Sawinski has started to play the outfield. That's an update for you guys after he's come back from his MCL injury. And Tommy Pham is just on the bench. I think Tommy Pham is going to be the first one to get moved here. Joey Bart's batting average is back above a 2. So we'll take that. But I think Tommy Pham is the first guy out to hopefully add maybe a couple of prospects somewhere. I did also want to check in on Connor Griffin. He's developing nicely. He's down in single A, so he's not actually accruing any stats, but he is developing. So I know I don't mention him a ton, but he is here. He just is not playing anywhere. I do think that's like a next year thing. He's a 62 overall, which as we look at maybe center fielders, I mean, it would put him at a spot where he could probably be good, at least passable. But I do think there's value in just letting him grow because the attributes aren't super there, if we're honest, to let him play. So that's kind of where we're at with that. As we are now 21 and 42, we're just going to keep simulating. All right, McCutchen is now fully healthy, which is great news because Triolo has gone cold. So we're actually just going to let McCutchen DH for a minute. and hopefully just let Triolo sit for a second, let him get back to what he was doing earlier in the year. We're in a reasonable spot, I feel like, at least for the roster that we have lineup-wise. We have pieces that are okay, as Spencer Horwitz continues to be the correct decision at the big league level. But we have pieces that are okay. We just don't have a lot that are like good enough to carry a team, if that makes sense. Andy Rodriguez, despite being maybe the worst catcher in the big leagues, is developing nicely. He's a B potential. He's 24 years old. That's why I haven't really given up on him. It's the same with Joey Bart, who's a C potential in 28, although he is regressing horrifically. But yeah, I don't know. Is Andy Rodriguez the catcher of the future, even over a Joey Bart and like a Henry Davis? Maybe. Jason DeLay, by the way, is starting now in AAA over Henry Davis and is still hitting 305 over Henry Davis's 239. So, also, another update. Tamar Johnson still not hitting incredibly well. He's hitting 194. He's developing against righties, which is good. Even if he can just be a platoon guy, he's pretty young, so we can get there. Nick York, though, having himself a nice year, and I'm excited to see what he can get to as a 68 overall. Derek Hall is having himself a nice year down in, I believe this is Double-A. The big leagues, Paul Skeens has gone cold. He's up to a 99 overall, but he does have a 3.6 ERA. Mitch Keller, his ERA, believe it or not, is falling. And the starting pitching just hasn't executed as much as we have hoped. But again, there's hope in the minors, because our record is still not great. It's 22-45, but AAA we're 33-30. Our Double-A team is wrecking shop, so just gonna keep going. Spencer Horwitz has a lower back injury. We'll just keep him active. So does DJ Stewart. And we talk so highly of Andy Rodriguez, and he fractures his forearm. That's a 60-day IL. And now we got to figure out like a backup catcher situation, probably. This is how Jason DeLay gets to the big leagues. I guess that's not the worst thing in the world. He wasn't really hitting that well. And it lets Jason DeLay come up. We just have really no one to like fix this problem. Guess Planchart's getting called up to AAA, which feels gross. And then Omar Alfonso, it's your lucky day. You're going to Double-A? Be the backup there for a minute. And now I gotta do all the lineups. Okay, also Spencer Horwitz has gone cold. I still don't hate just letting him run out, especially with the current options we have. Although I might see about that trade for Ben Rice at this point. Just do a temperature check on it. Emmanuel Valdez down AAA has been pretty good. He's hitting 292, so that's something to keep an eye on, I suppose. Which is always a win when you get production out of him. Nick Solak's career may just be ending in front of us, by the way. Just sad. I always liked him as a Ranger. Okay, we are updating our trade block. We are throwing Tommy Pham on there. I'm going to look for a first base option because that just feels like something we need to do. And honestly, maybe some catcher and like outfield potentially. I wouldn't hate actually like relief pitching prospects. I mean, really just anything. I guess we can select 5 things. We'll do relief pitcher, closer, catcher, first base, right field. I think that feels fair. And we'll see how we go. The Braves, the Dodgers, the Pirates are interested. Pham just isn't going to be here long term, so we need to try to get something back for him, I guess. The Tigers are offering us a trade. We're going to view the offer. It's Tomas Nido, who is a D potential catcher for Tommy Pham. And it clears salary, but that's not a big worry for us at this point. He's 30. He's got one more year of control, but he's just not a guy that'll be here long term in the future, I don't think. So I think it's a no at this point, but I don't hate the thought, I guess, from the game. All right, we are at nearly the end of June. We are at June 29th. We are now 27-58, and we have some updates, I believe. Adam Frazier's back to playing every day. Jason DeLay has not really found the field, and I am kind of okay with that. The lineup is still not hitting really well, as Andrew McCutchen is hitting. He just is not playing very well. I do think this might be the end of McCutchen, which isn't great. Brian Hayes still having a really good year, and then Sawinski, Spencer Horowitz has not been great either. We have to address first base, I think. Nobody is stuck. I don't really have a lot of hope that anybody's going to stick, internally at least. Andy Rodriguez still on the IL, I believe. Yeah, Andy Rodriguez is still on the IL, and maybe he's the answer at first base, at least for a minute. He's developing nicely, but I don't know. Ben Rice sounds pretty intriguing to me, if we're all honest. And the Nationals are offering us a trade. It's Carlos De La Cruz, a first baseman that I know nothing about. He's 25 years old. He's a D potential guy. Again, he just doesn't help us really, short term or long term, I don't think. So it's just going to have to be a no, I think. Big trade here. The Braves get Brent Rooker for Cam Caminetti and Stefan Paolini. Which is interesting, but a big get for the Atlanta Braves. They add a big hitter who's honestly not that expensive for what he brings to the table. And we're actually going to enter this game. We can see our team rankings here, and they are all pretty bad, except for we do log some strikeouts at about a league average pace, which no doubt is carried by Paul Skeens, the starting pitcher, as we're in to Minnesota. Can we get the double play? We do. Actually, look at us. And now just one more out gets us the win here in Minnesota, which would be huge. Wouldn't be that huge if we're honest, but for morale, winning is always nice. So that's a ground ball to Nick Gonzalez at short. And we win a game. Look at us closing it out with Dennis Santana. Joey Wentz goes 4 1/3 out of the pen, I think is how that works. Because the starting pitcher, whoever it was, didn't pitch very well. Doesn't look like. All right, and that is where the episode is going to end. The next one, we are drafting people. If you made it to the end of the episode, make sure to let me know. Maybe comment. Just say hey if you made it to the end of the episode. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. We're going to start with the draft next episode, so that'll be electric. Do some more simulating, play a game, all that good stuff. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed watching, thank you, and we'll catch y'all in the next one.